Oh my goodness, I'm live. So no one's going to be watching this, but hey, I'm just testing it out. I'm just testing this thing. What if someone will actually join? It says 2 people are watching me. Oh my goodness. Fathery. My boy Steven. How you doing? This is a live stream test. If I run off at any given moment, it's because baby on the tube is doing something that I don't want her to do. So she's watching Peppa Pig. I'm a terrible father. Oh my goodness, Gary. Everyone's here. I'm trying out this this YouTube live stream thing. Hi, hello, Santi Santo. Hello, everyone. I'm trying out this YouTube live stream thing just because I don't know. I've seen Jesse Gender use it, and Trey Cards do this all the time, and I wanted to know if I just wanted to know how it works. So I've activated what is it? They got like super chats and super stickers and stuff. Just like Trick Cards do. They get donations which can help the channel. So I thought maybe we could do that. But of course, no one's going to watch this. I won't get hundreds of thousands of people watching. Anyway, I did want to talk about Lower Decks. That's the thing. I've postponed my next Star Trek race. This is an exclusive for the 3 people that are watching. I've postponed my Star Trek races, my next Star Trek races video. So Gary, you can you've got more time to do the thumbnail now. It doesn't have to be for next Monday. And I'm going to be talking about yay. I'm going to be talking about Lower Decks. I feel like a lot of people don't kind of know what to think about Lower Decks, and I feel like a lot of people are kind of lost as to like when it's going to take place, what's going to happen, what kind of feel it's going to have. People are so afraid because Mike McMain worked on Rick and Morty, and for the very few people that have seen Solar Opposites, I feel like the crossover audience between Solar Opposites and Star Trek is non-existent, basically. He's said multiple times, not directly, but Star Trek Lower Decks is not going to be like Solar Opposites or Rick and Morty. He state like Lower Decks is going to be like the TNG episode Lower Decks. It's going to be like the TNG episode Data's Day. So yeah, the Lower Decks shows is, I think, it's going to be very much more Star Trek than people think. 7 people are watching this right now. That's amazing. I'm blown away. Excuse this. This is what happens when I eat chocolate. See, I'm a pastry chef, and then I go to work. We've had financial troubles, and I wasn't working for a while, but now I'm back to work, and so this is what happens to me. I go back to work, and then I'm like, I'm so happy because there's cookies and little kind of stuff that we make, and so I eat them, and then this is what happens to my face. Anyway, I have a good feeling about Lower Decks. I do too. I really do. I actually, and I'm going to say this, you guys know I'm not a big fan of Discovery, and I think Picard was all right. I think Picard maybe, it kind of dragged itself a bit too much, and ultimately didn't have that much to say. But I think Lower Decks, how can the show be canon when the uniforms are different? Okay, so see, this is the thing. This is why I'm going to do my next news video is going to include explanations about Lower Decks, all right? Lower Decks is post-Nemesis. I think a lot of people think it's going to be during the TNG era. It's not. It's the TNG era, but it's post-Nemesis, but pre-Picard. Lower Decks is 2380. That's when they're setting it. So Nemesis comes out. Nemesis was in 2379. Lower Decks is a year after that. And this is because Mike McMahon said it was basically 2 decades before Picard, right? And Picard is 2399. We haven't yet crossed over into the 25th century. So that's where the uniforms are different. And if you look at the uniforms in Picard, the uniforms in Picard resemble the uniforms from TNG, and they kind of I don't know. It's like they forgot that we had the gray uniforms from Deep Space Nine and First Contact in between. But if you put this uniform, it makes sense. Like you have the TNG uniforms, and then you have the gray uniforms, which we use for most of the TNG movies and Deep Space Nine, and then it transitioned into these Lower Decks uniforms, which kind of resemble or harken back to the original TNG uniforms, and then that brings us to the Picard ones. If that makes sense. 8 people are watching. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me on this first live stream. I was saying earlier, if I run away very quickly, it's because baby on the tube is doing something. I'm being a bad father. She's watching Peppa Pig, but sometimes it happens. I'm just gonna check out the. I think there should be canon. The comments here. The writers have a lot of amazing new sci-fi ideas and solar opposites in Rick and Morty. I agree. I think Rick and Morty fell off a bit in season 3 because they were trying to make it too serialized, and the show became super popular at that moment. And I don't know. I kind of felt jaded. But I think season 4, the first half, they cut Rick and Morty season 4 into like 2 segments. The first half, 5 episodes, I think it was all right, but it wasn't the best. The second lot, the last 5 episodes that we got of Rick and Morty, I think they were really, really good. And Solar Opposites was fun. Solar Opposites was cool. I like that they leave a lot of the concepts behind. It's like you're following a family, but not really. Is it really a family? Are they partners? We don't know, or we don't really know how their species works. I really like the idea, it's always the Cage reference. Every sci-fi show has the Cage reference, right? The Orville did the Cage, Rick and Morty did the Cage, and so Solar Opposites, for you guys that haven't seen it, don't want to spoil too much, but they do like kind of the Cage, where one of the aliens is capturing humans and keeping them in a cage. And so I really liked all of that subplot. How can Charlie X be canon if the Astral Queen crew members had different uniforms? Oh, dear God. That's very true. How dare they? I mean, uniforms is a funny thing in Star Trek. Uniforms change all the time. Honestly, I'm a guy that nitpicks. I'm a guy that bitches about so much shit in Star Trek. But uniforms, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people comment on my videos, military folk from across the world, telling me that uniforms change all the time, be it naval officers and Air Force, whatever. So Santo, you're talking pure sci-fi. They change it a bit with the humor. Okay, so Mike McMahon, if you guys haven't heard the news, like recently said to is it Entertainment Weekly? Just said to Entertainment Weekly that the humor. Okay, how can I say this? The way Rick and Morty or Solar Opposites address sci-fi is they make fun of the tropes that we all know. They make fun of the things like the time travel elements or the aliens, that kind of stuff that we've seen in the Next Generation. But Lower Decks won't be like that. Lower Decks is very much going to address these things like they are real, true issues that any other Star Trek show will address, and I like that. What would be your role below deck? I'd be the guys aimlessly wandering the corridors, nodding at people with actual lines. In reality, I'm section 31, Paul Keating. Yeah, I wouldn't be enlisted in Starfleet. I don't think I'm good enough. I'm not smart enough to be Starfleet. I'd have to continue on in my current, I'm a pastry chef. I'd probably be a pastry chef on board. I see the cakes. This is the French in me. Every time I see a cake in the Next Generation, they're fucking hideous, right? They're just garbage. They're just icing on. It looks absolutely horrible. It ain't no French pastry, I'm telling you that. And so I would bring the French pastry chef flair to the Next Generation ships, that I'll be on, if we're talking Lower Decks here. I wouldn't be like an engineer or anything. I'm not smart enough to be an engineer or anything like that. I'm safe until Wife on the Tube checks in. That's right. If Wife on the Tube happens upon this live stream, she's going to be like, what the hell are you doing? You've left the baby to watch Peppa Pig, and you're doing a live stream. This is ridiculous. Hey, look, we don't do this often. Leave the baby. to watch TV. But I will say though, as a parent, you try to keep your child occupied as much as you can. But during this containment, like this self-isolation period where we were just in the house all the time, there comes a moment where, and this is a live stream, this is different, but there comes a moment where like I gotta do the dishes, I gotta do the laundry. It's like at some point I gotta occupy this kid, right? Anyway, the wall, the cage, yeah, that's it. TAS did a Cage episode too. Yes, the animated series did a Cage, but they had like these weird slug elephant type, like heffalumps, but in the Star Trek universe, right? I'm gonna say my statement before I get it too off track. My statement is I sincerely believe, and this is what I was talking about earlier. I was saying that I'm not the biggest fan of Picard. I'm not the biggest fan of Discovery. I prefer Picard to Discovery. But anyway, I think that Lower Decks is legit. It's ramping up to be the best Star Trek of the Kurtzman era that we have currently. I legit feel that way. I feel like it's been created and conceptualized by a fan. Mike McMahon is a true fan of the show. Of the franchise. I feel like he understands the franchise so well, because even if you guys go and check out TNG Season 8 on Twitter, there's like a Twitter account called The Next Generation Season 8. That's Mike McMahon, and he would post these like short little one-sentence plots for a fictional TNG Season 8. It's very humorous. It's very, very stupid, to be honest. He even published a book at some point, but all of that, it feels, I don't know, there's humor and it's corny and it's dumb, but it is still very he understands the Next Generation. He understands Star Trek, and so I feel like Lower Decks is going to be the best, or at least the most, for people like me that are like, oh, this doesn't feel very Star Trek when I'm watching Picard, right? I feel like Lower Decks will. Lower Decks will feel very Star Trek, and I'm just so hyped for it. I'm so hyped. This is everything I've always wanted. All right, I have loved the animated series since the day I saw it. I think it's fantastic, and I highly suggest everyone go check out the animated series. Yes, the animation is clunky. There are color problems. There's plenty of stuff wrong with the animated series, but I do think it's really good. And if you're not a fan of the original series, and I understand this, if you're not a fan of the original series because it's old, the original series came out in the 60s. It's old. And you're allowed to not be a fan because there's only one plot going on at the same time. You don't have the B plot. It's the acting is overacting. I would highly suggest you go and check out the animated series because it fixes a lot of that. You get the original series cast for the majority, for the most part. You get the original series cast and the original series feel, because it is basically the fourth season of the original series, but in a 23-minute format instead of 43, which means you cut the runtime down by half. The episodes still are basically high concept sci-fi. It's not a kids show at all, the animated series. And so you get all the goodness of the original series in like, I don't know, lightning bolts. It's like a flash segment of the original series. I don't know. It's really good. If you can get past, of course, the animation being a bit weird. Bye, Pete, Mr. Pete channel. Thank you for stopping by. Lower Decks will save Kurtzman from being fired for the 8th time. Yeah, Kurtzman. He's getting fired every day. Every day he's getting fired. He hasn't been fired since the COVID-19 disaster began, because we don't fire Kurtzman during the COVID-19. He must be handling that quite well. He's quarantined everyone. Stay home. Stay home, everyone. They change the uniforms all the time. It's the fashion in the future. There's a theory that considering, I hate time travel, but considering time travel does exist in the universe of Star Trek, and there's even like a temporal prime directive, and there's basically time police, there's Federation officers, Starfleet officers that take care of time, time officers, right? There's a theory that Starfleet and the Federation, they change the uniforms every few years. So that when they go back in time, be it a space anomaly, without doing it on purpose, if there's a mistake and you get flung back in time, you can immediately know kind of which era you're living in, or kind of which era you've popped up in, which I find I find it fun. It's headcanon and it's fan explanation, but that's fun. I think it'll be revolutionary. People will love it if they have good stories. Of course, the writers provide. Yeah. It's always the same thing. The show has to have good writers to be good. You can do whatever the hell you want with the show. You have to have good writers that give you good stories, and you have to have good characters. That's it. Those are the things. You have to have good. You can, like, the animation can be garbage on Lower Decks. It wouldn't really matter. And I think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be like beautiful animation. It looks like it's gonna be pretty. I don't know, standard animation. I'm feeling like a cross between Rick and Morty animation and Family Guy at this point. Final Space. I feel like it's going to be animated like Final Space. But I don't have a problem with that. Just standard 2D animation. I tried animating a ball recently on a program called Blender. It's a headache, and it takes a while. And I can't even imagine the process of animating an entire show. So yeah, I just animated one black and white ball that bounced once. Just did a bounce, and that's it. So yeah, I can't imagine. No, I agree. I think that Lower Decks is going to be bloody focus. What the hell? I think that Lower Decks is going to be the show that's going to really surprise people. People are going to come out like, "Wow, oh my goodness!" I see people commenting online like, "I don't want another Star Trek parody." It's not a Star Trek parody. Be like, this show can't be canon because it's animated. Yes, it can. It is. It's going to be part of the Star Trek canon. It's going to be part of the official story of Star Trek. And I honestly think it's gonna really surprise people. First season is 10 episodes for people that are unaware. First season is 10 episodes. I don't know if they're doing so they quote it as like 30-minute format, but I'm lost as to what that means nowadays. 30-minute format used to be basically you run a 23 to 24-minute show, and then you've got 6 or 7 minutes for ads, because that was the time slot that you had on TV. Nowadays, though, there's no TV time slot. You just throw the thing up on the internet. So I don't know if it's going to be an actual 30 or 23. I would like our new video on demand shows to be kind of more liberal with their times, with their God damn it, with their durations, right? With the length of the episodes. Like, if you want to do an episode that's 55 minutes, do it. If you want to do an episode that's 35, do it. Like, if your story can be told quickly and it's better off, then just take advantage of that. If your story needs time to mature and develop, then really just dive into it and go for it. The only current country holding them back is Canada. Goddamn Canada, because they put this on Space TV, and Space needs to fill those time slots correctly. You can't just throw up bloody 55-minute episodes. They even had a problem where they cut off one of the Short Trek's endings. It was like it wasn't a Short Trek. I think it was a legit episode of Discovery that had its ending cut off because it ran too long, which is crazy. And then maybe reruns. That's the thing. I'm thinking maybe CBS are kind of afraid that once CBS All Access and all these other video on demand services crash and tumble and fall because there's too many of them, and people are just going to go back to downloading or just throwing what's on TV, they're going to have to sell these shows. So once Netflix cuts their deal, they're going to have to sell these shows to different TV channels. There's a scream. I will return in a very short moment. There's a child screaming. Hey, Silva. How the hell did that happen? Went from 11 to 12 people watching while I wasn't here. I'm back. Baby screamed. She was no longer. She got fed up with Peppa Pig. She did Dora. So this is it. She watches Peppa Pig and Dora, and Puff and Rock sometimes. Puff and Rock is a very cute, very educational Irish kid program. Anyway, we have comments. The animation in Solar Opposites is great. Hope it's close to that. I think that's kind of what they're going. Final Space is what I'm bidding. I think the animation is basically Rick and Morty animation in Solar Opposites. That's what it is. Solar Opposites felt like a Rick and Morty spinoff to me. The same way Disenchantment. Disenchantment felt like a Simpsons spinoff in that first season. It felt like one of those, I don't know, it was like a Treehouse of Horror episode. Not a Treehouse of Horror because there's no horror in, well, there is, but I guess Disenchantment felt like, I don't know, a collection of shorts taking place in like a fantasy world. Homer gets sucked into like a fantasy land, and Tia Bean from Disenchantment, the protagonist, is basically Lisa, but somewhere else, and she has that demon cat, which is basically Bart, and so that felt very The Simpsons, both in animation and style and what have you. But in season 2, it kind of came into its own thing and became its own thing, and I think that's what's going to happen with Solar Opposites. Solar Opposites will feel more like its own show as seasons progress, and as they move away from the Rick and Morty of it. Of course, it doesn't help that what's his name, Justin Roiland, he's doing voices for Solar Opposites and Rick and Morty. The voice talent looks pretty good on Lower Decks. I didn't know who they were. Oh my goodness, there's a super sticker. See, this is what I was trying to activate these things earlier. This is why I'm doing the live stream. I'm testing things. I'm testing the super stickers and the super chats and what have you. So I don't know. So Gary, trick applies here. You posted a super sticker and that costed 0.99 pounds. So it's like 99 pence basically. This cost you money. This cost you basically £1. Where does that money go? Does that money go to me? Does that money go to YouTube? You spent it. We know where it's disappeared from. We don't know where it's going to appear. That's I don't know. Super chats are different. If you do a super chat, then that's you're highlighting a comment, and you're paying for the comment to be highlighted so that I can see it and talk about it. And so I think that money would go to the channel, to me. The stickers, I don't know. Anyway, did I miss your Lower Decks opinion? Hey, Triangulum Studios, how you doing? My opinion is that I'm bloody hype. I'm fucking excited for this thing. I'm super hype. I really am. I'm awaiting Lower Decks with impatience, and I think it's going to be the best Star Trek show from the Kurtzman era. I don't want Section 31 to exist. I just don't. All my life, I've wanted a Section 31 show. Now that it's going to be led by Space Hitler, I don't want it to exist anymore. I would rather that they hire Michelle Yeoh to play Captain Georgiou in her Captain Georgiou show, rather than have her play Emperor Georgiou in Section 31. I think that Emperor Georgiou is a terrible character. She cannot be redeemed. It would be like trying to redeem people. If you tried to redeem someone like Trump on screen, people would hate you. They would absolutely hate you. And one could argue for, like, as much as I think that we're all kind of on the same page here, no one really likes Trump. You can't. He's not exactly. On paper, he's not a mass murderer. He hasn't gone out and killed millions of people himself, and yet you still can't redeem him. Emperor Georgiou has. She blows planets up for a living, and because what, she was nice to Burnham, you're gonna keep her, like, give her own show? It's kind of strange. Anyway, I really do hope that Shazad Latif. Oh no, but he left with the Discovery. I think Tyler. He went with the Discovery. I can't remember. I don't know. I'm not invested enough in Discovery. Anyway, I don't want Section 31 to exist. Section 31 to exist, the show. A lot of people don't want the Khan thing to exist. There could have been a limited series about Khan. People don't want that to exist. But yeah, Lower Decks. I think Lower Decks is going to be great. And there's the Nick trick as well, which people call him Prodigy. I don't know if Prodigy is the confirmed name for the show. And Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds, I think, is the thing that everyone... But here's the thing. Lower Decks is going to be insidious that way. Strange New Worlds, everyone expects it to be good, and everyone's hopes are very high. Everyone's like, oh, I love Anson Mount as Pike, I love Ethan Peck's Spock, and I love Rebecca Romijn's Una, number one. And I like that everyone likes this Enterprise Bridget they've created. I don't, but everyone likes it. And so everyone expects Strange New Worlds to be good, especially considering they're using language to promote the show that is like going back to classic Star Trek, that kind of stuff. So everyone feels like it's almost going to be episodic and it's going to be Alien of the Week, and everyone's hyped for Strange New Worlds. So, Strange New Worlds is going to be good. Everyone's expecting that. And then it might, your hype might kill you. Whereas Lower Decks, as I said, is insidious. No one thinks it's going to be good. So many people are like dismissing it based on the fact it's animation, based on the fact it's comedy. But I really don't think it's... I think it's going to be comedy the same way Data's Day or Lower Decks, the episode, are comedy. This comedy throughout Star Trek all the time. As much The Next Generation as Voyager and Deep Space Nine. Yeah. What's that episode? What's that episode with Phlox? Phlox does a Data's Day type episode. He has... Someone's going to tell me in the chat. Phlox has this thing where he has an episode where he talks. He sends like a letter to a friend of his, or something. I think that's kind of what's going to go on. Dear Doctor, yeah, I'm saved by Gary once again. Dear Doctor. All right, let me just check out the chat here because there's a Final Space animation is pretty cool too. Yeah, I like Final Space. Final Space, I think sometimes, if I remember correctly, they do a little CG now and then. So it reminded me kind of Duck Dodgers. Duck Dodgers used to do 2D animation and then 3D animation. Sorry, 3D animation. The spaceship was 3D and what have you. Boatrek, 30% goes to YouTube. So 30% of the £1 from Gary goes to YouTube. Well, there you go. You're making YouTube rich, Gary. Careful. But Section 31 doesn't exist. Officially doesn't exist. How could it have a show? It doesn't exist. It does exist. They all have black badges. It's top secret. They have a red badge with top secret written on. No, we don't exist. I'm with you there. I've had some convos with Mike McMahon, and it's awesome. You've had conversations with Mike McMahon. Is this like Twitter interactions, or are you sliding into his DMs? Are you talking to Mike McMahon? You gotta get him on Trek Chat. If you're speaking to Mike McMahon, I need the boy on Trek Chat. I need to talk comedy and animation with him. That's what I want to do. Georgie was badly written. I think Michelle Yeoh is a very, very, very talented actor, and I think she's amazing. I think that when she acts as Emperor Georgiou, she acts like she's garbage. Her performance as Emperor Georgiou is shit, and I think that it's legitimately because maybe the character is badly written, but also because it's just not her. I mean, sometimes you can be a terrific actor, but maybe this or that actor doesn't have good comedic timing. Maybe this amazing actor isn't good doing a certain emotion of a certain character or a certain style of person. I don't think Michelle Yeoh is doing a good Emperor Georgiou. I think she did a fantastic Captain Georgiou, but Emperor Georgiou, no. And I don't want to show about that. Anyway, enough about that. As you said, but Rick, Section 31 doesn't exist. We shall not talk about it. How's the sound, by the way? Is the sound good? Is the mic good? The camera's supposed to be. I got the Logitech C920, whatever it is. If you search for like streaming webcam, everyone has this one. Anyway, Georgiou rules. Tyler stayed behind, but Georgiou went with Discovery, so who knows? Oh, really? Okay. Final thoughts on Section 31. If they make Section 31 about Tyler, I think that's great. I would love to see Ash Tyler kind of try to redeem himself as best he can, because he's redeemable. He hasn't been too much of a thug. I think he's redeemable, and I think that it would be interesting seeing him trying to make Section 31 as good an organization as he can, but then you see him kind of struggle with that. And then you see his pain. You could kind of drag around the pain that he lost his true love. Michael is gone and what have you. I think that that's the way you could do the Section 31 show. It is going to happen, apparently. You guys heard my Deep Space Nine conversation with Robert Hewitt Wolf and Father E here. He says it's going to happen. So, not that he's involved with it, but Michael can get a new future love. Yeah, Michael Burnham, I don't know. The promotional pictures that they showed of Discovery Season 3 have Michael Burnham and another character, another guy that she meets on the planet. I don't know if that's a love interest specifically, if that's just a character that she's going to meet and they're going to interact. I'm disappointed they used Aldous Hodge, which is a fantastic actor, for the short tricks, and now they can't use him for Discovery Season 3. I would have liked Aldous Hodge to be that character, because I think Aldous Hodge is a fantastic actor. Not that this other guy isn't. It's just that this other guy, they dragged him out of Supergirl. He's like Manchester Black in Supergirl, and acting in Supergirl is sometimes a bit eh. But then that's the show, that's the direction, that's the if you guys have watched The Walking Dead, there's a character called Beth. I forget the name of the actor, but she's an amazing actor. She does a very good job in every appearance in The Walking Dead. And then they dragged it into Arrow, and she's just the most cringy, terrible, poor actor in Arrow. And that can only be the way it's directed. That can only be the way it's written, right? Anyway, they're trying. It's a different audience, Arrow and The Walking Dead. Though now I would argue both shows have no audience left. So anyway, Tyler was on the D7 when Discovery went into the wormhole. This is Father E from Textrek saying, then we see him in Starfleet HQ being debriefed by top brass with Spock, Pike, and Number 1. So Tyler did stay behind. Yeah, okay. Acting on the CW eats away at your soul. You know what? I think that a CW show, as like you're a young actor trying to break into the industry, I think the CW is good. I think the CW is really good. It gives you a good working experience, especially considering most of those shows are still done kind of old school. They film them week to week, and you got long hours and stuff. I think it'll really help you break into the industry and kind of understand what you're getting into. And this is why lead actor from Batwoman stepped down. She didn't step down because of her injury, because she got injured. I think she broke her leg or arm or something during the first season. But she stepped down because it was just too much for her to handle. So many hours. She wasn't happy on set, and so that when you're not happy on set, that feeling, that vibe kind of shows, and other people aren't really happy. Just all around, not very good. But it's good. At least it gives her a good work experience. She understands what it is to do these kind of shows, and maybe she'll prefer working on shows that are streaming and that you can film. You film the entire season and then it comes out. It's different. So I think CW. Don't stay with CW too long. I think if you want to really move on. I'm hoping Grant Gustin, my boy from The Flash there, The Flash, I hope that once he finishes his run of The Flash, I hope that he can move on to better things. I like him. I think he's quite nice. Yeah. Anyway, Lower Decks. I have a feeling that the first episode is going to play out a lot like the episode Lower Decks. This is just, I'm going off of my thoughts. That's it. I have nothing to base this on. But I have a feeling, because we see there are quite a lot of promotional pictures that show us the bridge crew, that we will be seeing a bit, like the main officers, that we won't be ignoring. We'll be seeing a bit, and then there's a few images showing the Lower Decks main cast, so these Lower Deckers, and then them together. And so I think the first episode is going to play out very much like Lower Decks, the episode, because Mike McMahon was talking about how these young officers, they're frustrated. They have to go through these moments where they're frustrated because they don't know everything that's going on. They don't have all of the information about the missions. You can imagine the ship explodes or something. There's like an explosion outside, or the ship trembles, and they don't know what's going on. They don't have all of the information. Maybe one of their officers is sent off on a mission, and it's top secret. They don't know what's going on with this mission. And that harkens back to the Lower Decks episode. I would really, really suggest you guys go and watch that if you haven't. I'm assuming you guys have, but the Lower Decks episode is very, very good, and it deals with that kind of stuff very well, and it shows you the dynamic between senior officers and junior officers. And so I think that's how they're going to introduce both the senior and junior officers in the first episode of the show. And then we're going to branch off and follow the younger officers or the junior grade officers. You don't have to be young to be a junior officer in Starfleet, of course. What do I think of Noah Hawley? I haven't seen Legion. I don't know if you guys can hear the music in the background. Maybe on the tube has a musical piano. Little piano that you push a button and it plays music, and then you can play the notes individually if you want. Anyway, Noah Hawley, I haven't seen Legion yet, but I think that his Fargo TV show is amazing. I wasn't keen on season 3. I know that people did. I preferred season 1 and 2. But I think that just generally speaking, he's a brilliant director. He does music too. And like the musical decisions, the choices that were made musically for Fargo, the TV series. Yeah, she's quite a musician. That's her. She's only she's not even 2 years old, but that's it. She's playing that. Noah Hawley works with Jeff Russo on the Fargo TV show, and they like every single song, every single piece of music that comes on in Fargo, I Shazam. I got that application. You Shazam it, and then you find out who the song is, and then that goes and I dump it into a playlist on YouTube, and I have a playlist of all of these musics that I just love. And every music is so well chosen. Every scene is so brilliantly directed. And you know what? If this can reassure you guys don't know anything about Noah Hawley or Fargo, the TV show and the movie. Fargo, the TV show, especially the first season, ties in very well to the movie. All right, but it never feels forced, and it always feels like it's coming from somewhere sincere, like they truly wanted to tell this. Like we're telling our own story. Oh, but we could tie this in because this works, and so it all feels very connected. And so I think that Noah Hawley doing a Star Trek movie, I think he could even handle a kind of a merging between the Kelvin and Prime timeline. I would love to see conclusion to the Kelvin timeline films, and I would like to see them kind of, I don't know, I would like to see somehow them merging into the Prime timeline or something. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I have no script, no plot ideas here. Come on. But I'm over Chris Hemsworth, by the way, people. I'm over him. I've had enough of Chris Hemsworth. I don't know why. I used to love him, and now I think Men in Black did this to me. Men in Black 4 broke me. Men in Black International. I'm just like, nah. I don't know. Chris Hemsworth pissed me off too, because he commented on, he said that he didn't want to come back to Star Trek 4, and he says it's not because of the money. He says it's because I didn't feel confident in like the script that they provided. I'm like, are you bloody kidding me? You felt confident? You don't feel confident in the script of Star Trek 4, but you feel confident in Men in Black International and fucking The Huntsman, right? Come on, come on. And Thor: The Dark World, that was fine for you too. I mean, come on, it's a money thing. It's a money thing. Anyway, I have to hate you, Mr. Hemsworth, in case you're watching this, because you're from Australia and I'm from New Zealand. So that's the dynamic. That's how it has to be. I can't break tradition here. Your Thor is amazing, and I'm looking forward to Thor Ragnarok. Don't worry about it. Yeah, but Noah Hawley, I think, has he seems like a fan of Star Trek, and if he understands and deals with Star Trek the same way that he understands and deals with Fargo, then I think we can have a really, really good project. Legion is amazing and Fargo is too. Well, there you go. Well, Santi Santo, I don't know how to say this. Is it Santo? Is it Santo? Come on, you got to tell me here. Boatrick would disagree with you on Legion. Boatrick, I'm putting you on the spot, didn't like Legion. Fargo's cool. I'm so disappointed. Fargo, they only have 2 episodes to film for season 4 with Chris Rock. They only have 2 episodes left to film before they release it. And COVID-19 hit, and then they couldn't release it, and now we're just sitting here waiting. I hope the music in the background isn't too annoying. Mike McMahon and Noah Hawley are right choices. Yeah, I really do. This is the thing. Star Trek has been around for so long, and it's influenced so many people. Yes, it's influenced scientists, engineers, all that kind of stuff. But it's also influenced so many creators now, so many writers, so many producers, so many directors and actors that I almost think it's not hard to find a fan of the show or a fan of the franchise that can legitimately make a show or work on it. Talking about in the Next Generation, when the Next Generation came out, you're like, oh, we got to find a whole bunch of new people, new cast members. No, it's not that easy to find everyone that's a fan of Star Trek, especially back then. There was only the original series or the animated series out, a couple of movies. Nowadays, it's just so much Star Trek content has been ingrained in us, in our pop culture for so long that of course you're gonna find someone that knows Star Trek. That being said, you don't need to hire people that know Star Trek. I think you need to mix them both. I think in the writer's room, you need people that have no idea what Star Trek is, and they don't care. And you need people that absolutely know what Star Trek is, and they think it's the most important thing in the world. And so you have these, because the people that know Star Trek, they might be too locked into their little boxes of what Star Trek is and how you should do it. Whereas these other people that are outside of the box, they're like, oh, we should do this. They got all these crazy ideas. And then you merge them together. You take this crazy concept that this guy has that has nothing to do with this person that has nothing to do with Star Trek. And then this person that knows Star Trek. And you find a natural way to blend them together. And then you have a Star Trek story. Or this crazy story can evolve within the world of Star Trek. That's how I would run my writer's room. Chico, how you doing? I can't say the second one. I'm trying to learn Spanish. I am on Duolingo. I ain't good at it. I've never been attached to the Kelvin timeline, but not because I didn't like it, but because it was all films, not a TV show. Star Trek thrives on long storytelling. I agree. The other casts benefited from having the format, the TV show format, so they could really grow on you over time. Whereas the Kelvin timeline don't. And I will say this though, I'm not the biggest fan of the Kelvin timeline, but and I don't know if it's because they're kind of banking on the fact that the characters already existed, but the Kelvin timeline characters have grown on me quite a lot in just those 3 movies. I'm disappointed we don't see. I mean, I would love a Sulu movie. If they were to do Star Trek 4, I'd be just let Spock be the kind of savior or helper to the Romulan people that he wants to be. Let McCoy chill out on a planet, doesn't want to be in space, doesn't want to be on a starship. Kirk keeps his ship, goes on his mission. I don't know, maybe just give him the Admiralty. At this point, he became captain in an afternoon. He can become admiral in a month, whatever. Who cares? And then do a Sulu show. Give us a Sulu show. John Cho is an amazing actor, and I think he could hold his own. And not to be that kind of guy, but considering the film industry is always looking for those they got that checklist. We want the diversity, this and that, what have you. John Cho is perfect. This Sulu is perfect. He's an Asian. He's homosexual. Like, we, the Star Trek community, we don't care. We don't give a shit. We the Star Trek community, we literally do not give a shit, all right, about ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, gender. We don't care. We just want characters that are interesting, right? That's who we are. That's what makes us different, us, the Star Trek community. But for the public eye, for the mainstream audience, I think that you come out with this movie with the main character, the main hero is a gay Asian captain. Come on, you're gonna get praise, yo. And he's an amazing actor, and the character's great. They could do a really good movie with that. Give him the Excelsior. Exactly. Give us the hot rod version of the Excelsior. It might actually look good. I think Deep Space Nine should be studied by any writer who wants to understand how to do serialized Trek. Yeah, I will say that a lot of the actors, from what I understand, for Discovery, so they don't write the show; they just act. They act. They don't write it. But I think a lot of them, Anthony Rapp, Wilson Cruz, a lot of them went back and watched a lot of Deep Space Nine episodes. They cherry pick. I mean, I understand. I'm a dude at home. I can watch Star Trek all day. These guys are actors, right? People act as they can't sit around watching Star Trek all the time. Though they could have all watched at least one show during the COVID situation. Prime Sulu. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? And have him meet George Takei. Prime Sulu. That could be fun, actually. That could be fun. You know what? You do a connective movie that connects the Prime timeline to the Calvin timeline, but this time instead of having Leonard Nimoy Spock crossover because Leonard Nimoy's passed, sadly, so you can't do that. But George Takei's still around, and if he's game to do a movie, then you don't have to set it in you just when Spock disappeared, Sulu, which was maybe the only one still around or something, he was like, oh my goodness, my Spock's disappeared, I gotta go find my boy. And so he followed and he was doing, and then you have this shenanigan where he went into the same anomaly, or he caught up to them, or he reinitiated the anomaly and he pops into the Kelvin timeline. That could be fun. And then you have the two Sulus. Sulu and Sulu 2. Star Trek. A Sulu story. That's the joke. Wasn't there supposed to be an Excelsior TV show? I don't know about that. I don't know. I'd totally watch a Sulu show. I would too. There comes a point where I think they should act, unless they're really intending on scrapping the Kelvin timeline, I think they could legit make a Kelvin timeline TV show. Once they, okay, I'm gonna bitch a bit. Once Alex Kurtzman and his team have the aesthetics and the continuity issues locked down on Star Trek, once they are really nailing this thing, this is what the aesthetics look like in this time period, in this timeline. Once all that's resolved, you can kind of do hey, let's do a Kelvin timeline show and show a Kelvin version of the Next Generation. You don't necessarily need to recast the Next Generation cast. You can have it on another ship, another Galaxy class, but do a Kelvin Galaxy class show. Unless now they just want to sweep the Kelvin timeline under the rug, be we're done with it, it's finished, and it's a little bottle story. I like Discovery, but I wish it was a bit more like Deep Space Nine seasons 3 to 7. Hey, well, it might be. It might be. You want Discovery to be more like Deep Space Nine seasons 3 to 7, but Discovery hasn't had its season 3 to 7 yet, so it might be. It might be like that. Discovery, I think, has poor first seasons, but then I think Deep Space Nine does too. I'm very harsh with first seasons, right? People say that I complain too much about Discovery first seasons. I think TNG first seasons are garbage. And even though I think the show is very well received now, The Next Generation, it doesn't excuse the fact that the first seasons are shit. Same for Deep Space Nine. Voyager, believe it or not, I think has the so people will say that it doesn't get as good as Deep Space Nine, but I think overall it has the flatter curve, right? It starts off better than Deep Space Nine and maybe doesn't get as good. For most people, I think Voyager gets really good. Oh, you mean serialized but still with self-contained episodes? Yeah. The Mandalorian. that's I think the conclusion that everyone comes to. There is a way. Everyone is kind of fed up with hyper serialized stories now, unless they are something like True Detective, where it's like a book and every episode is a chapter. That's fine. When it comes to long running TV shows, you got to do semi-serialized. You got to do like episodic episodes, but that have an overarching story. People say overarching story, and I say overarching, and I don't know who's right and who's wrong. I'm probably wrong. My English is poor. My accent is also crap. I don't sound like New Zealand anymore. I don't sound like a Kiwi anymore. I also don't sound like a Canadian, or people tell me I'm from South Africa all the time. Regardless. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's what's going to happen with Lower Decks. I'm betting it's episodic as of now, like every episode, but I think that they are going to have like an overarching plot. I think that there's going to be like an overarching plot to Lower Decks. I don't know if it's going to go on for multiple seasons. But yeah, no, I don't. Every episode is going to be self-contained. That's what I'm feeling for Lower Decks. But yeah, I'm really, really intrigued. I'm really hype. I can't wait. Honestly, Discovery can come out like good. I'll watch it. I'll do more reviews. I'll have my thoughts. I'll have my opinions. But Lower Decks, oof, I'm going to be on that. Dear God, I'm going to be on that. I don't know. I feel like it's the right step. And then there's that Nick trick, that prodigy that they may be calling it. Yeah, that can be interesting too. Other good news regarding Lower Decks is it's PG-13. It's not R-rated. All right. So here's the thing. I didn't expect it to be R-rated, but I thought it was going to be adult-oriented. And so what scares, I think, people when you say about that, hey, Damien, hello, the Irish Tricky. This is my first ever live stream, and I have 12 people watching me, and Damien has come, Botrick has come, Gary has come, Triangulum stopped by. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for all being here. For those that are unaware, I have baby on the tube watching Dora at the moment, and so if I run away, it's because she's screaming. And she doesn't scream because she's hurt. She screams because she's fed up with whatever it is she's watching. Kind of like me. When I get fed up with watching something, I scream. The hell is this? What Rick made me watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. What the hell was that? No, I'm kidding. I forced myself to watch that. I put myself through that. Happy live stream debut. Thank you very much, Damien. It's an honor. You will be on Trek Chat soon. I promise you. You and Chris. I want you guys to come on Trek Chat, and we can talk about, I don't know. I have no subject. I have no topic for the moment. So if you guys have a topic that you want to talk about, that you want to address, something that you want to talk about, but that maybe feels a little out of place on Note Escape podcast, you let me know. So you guys will be coming on. Yeah, Lower Decks. I'm feeling really hyped for that. What was I talking about? I was talking about something. PG-13. Lower Decks is going to be PG-13. I think a lot of people were scared by the adult sitcom aspect. People were like, oh my God, they're going to have sex jokes and this and that. Maybe there will be a bit of sexual humor. But Mike McMahon, in this recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, talks about how Lower Decks can technically be watched by kids. It's just that they won't understand it as well as they will understand, for example, a kids show. So Nick Trick, aka Prodigy maybe, is going to be oriented for kids, and I think the themes that they're going to tackle, maybe the dialogue is going to be more addressed at children, whereas this show is not. It's going to be more addressed as adults, but that makes it feel Next Generation, because Next Generation is PG-13. Kids can watch it. They can appreciate it, I suppose, with parental supervision, because some of those episodes I wouldn't have my kid watch. But yeah, no, that's the thing. As you say, Rick, the series will address complex ideas. It might have concepts that a kid can't really grasp. But that's very animated series too. Star Trek, the animated series, is like that. It's not a kids show. God damn it. Like, I suppose you could plop a kid down and watch the animated series, and they would like the aliens. They would like the shirts because they were the colors and the lasers and maybe they'll understand a few of the general themes that are going on. But I don't know. I don't know how the Clone Wars was rated. I have no idea. Because the Clone Wars, from what I understand, is very adult as well. Like adults, I know many adults that appreciate this. The Clone Wars, I don't know. Where do I see this? Clone Wars TV rating. What's going on here? I don't know. I'm getting ratings as in what people think of the show. I don't know. If someone knows, tell us what the Clone Wars is. I'm assuming it's PG-13 too. Yeah, and Prodigy, I think will look more like Clone Wars. I think Prodigy, they're going for 3D animation. I'm calling it Prodigy just because that's what people are going for. But Nick Trick, the Nickelodeon kids Star Trek animated show, that's gonna look like, that's gonna look more like Clone Wars. That's gonna look more 3D animated. Prodigy will be like Star Wars animated series, more on that. So, well, there you go. There you go. Magics of Megas 2 have. Yeah, the Magics of Megas 2. That's an interesting episode. That's some psychedelic shit. That's very 70s, right? I wouldn't say Clone Wars is for kids. Well, they branded that way. That's interesting, actually. I wonder if Clone Wars is on Disney Plus Kids, because when you go onto Disney Plus, do you know what? Do you know what's not on Disney Plus Kids? Lilo and Stitch. All right, explain to me how Toy Story, which has Sid and all of that sequence with the Freaky Frankenstein toys, is on Disney Plus for kids on the kid account, but then Lilo and Stitch, no. Lilo and Stitch, I don't know. It's got I don't know, aliens. I don't know. Come on, yeah. Well, I think they fixed that, but it was like that for a very long time. Clone Wars is PG. Okay. It's in the Star Wars section. Okay. So they consider it for kids. But Star Wars are trying to be very family friendly, aren't they? I don't know what The Mandalorian was, though. But then I don't know how it works, see, because everyone complains about R-rated Star Trek. Oh, we don't want Star Trek to be R-rated, la-di-da, loo-di-doo. And then it's like, yo, R-rated is 16 and over in the US. And TVMA, as in TV mature, is 17 and older. And so you guys don't want people don't want an R-rated Star Trek movie, which is 16 and over. But they're fine with Discovery being TVMA, which is 17 and over. So it's kind of I don't know if that's like a double standard situation or just people don't really. I mean, there's like a severed baby head in Discovery Season 2, and there's mangled bodies in Discovery Season 1. There's some horrible stuff. What the hell is this? Anyway, Magics of Megas 2 is the most heavy metal thing in Star Trek. The writer has been jamming some Sabbath. Black Sabbath Star Trek. This is the fathery version of Beyond. They defeat Kral. Is his name Kral? They defeat him. They defeat Edison with Black Sabbath instead of the Beastie Boys. You know what? I would agree. I'm not a fan of the Beastie Boys. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily a fan of Black Sabbath, but I don't know. It could have been fun. They were testing out. Simon Pegg talked about so many different musical styles that they wanted to go with. I don't like that scene. I don't like all of the mini spaceships flying around or what have you. No music can save that. No music. Yeah. I don't know what kind of music they're going to have for the animated series, though. Lower Decks. I don't know what kind of music they're going to have for Lower Decks. And I don't know if we're going to be traveling to planet surfaces. I would like to see some animated series style planet surfaces, like landscapes and cityscapes, that kind of stuff. I think that would be great. And Jonathan Frakes is confirmed to be on Lower Decks by me. This is not official. No one has said this, but I'm saying it, all right? Because Mike McMahon, I'm going to try and pull up the quote here and read what he says, okay? This is what he says. Oh my goodness. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I will find it. Next gen. Oh, wait a minute. Where are we? Lower Decks is set during the time period of the Next Generation, and while Mike McMahon can't outright say familiar faces from the fan favorite late 80s to early 90s series will appear, this is talking about the Next Generation, he sure does hint at it. He says, quote, "There are a lot of recognizable characters in the galaxy at that point. Next Gen is my favorite era, and as a huge Star Trek fan, I would definitely want to try to use some of them so that I could not only build out the world, but also work with some of my heroes. But I can't get more specific than that. You'll have to wait and see." So maybe season 1 won't feature that many guest stars and what have you, but season 2 might. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Jonathan Frakes, Riker is gonna be in Lower Decks. We're gonna like an appearance. Like we're gonna see the Enterprise D or something. The Enterprise D. What am I talking about? The Enterprise E. We're at the E at this point because it's post Nemesis. Lower Decks is post Nemesis, so we're gonna see the Enterprise E. I'm betting we're gonna see Enterprise E. I'm betting Riker or Troy or something. Riker or Troy, something like that. Do we know the name of the ship? Yes, we do. Does this mean anything to you guys? All right. It's the USS. Where is it? The Sarah. Where is it? Bloody hell. Let me just. Cerritos. USS Cerritos. Cerritos. And I don't know what that means. Is that yes, Santo has written it down there. USS Cerritos. I don't know if that's a reference to someone that I'm unaware of. I'm an uncultured, you uncultured swine. That's Toy Story. It's named after a city in California. It is a California class starship. So there we are. That's it. Thank you, Father E. Thank you, my boy Tex Trek. So it's a California class starship, which is the state, and it's named after a city in the California state, Cerritos. Cerritos, Little Hills. Okay. There we go. Little Hills. I'm probably butchering it then. So it's the USS Cerritos, right? Is that it? Or is that too Italian? I'm getting trolled by Gee Whiz, but whatever. Ooh wee! What have you been doing? Kelly Starship School. Yeah, I think we're gonna get that kind of guest appearance. I don't know who he could mean. I'm expecting guest appearances that are not the main characters from the Next Generation. I'm expecting like characters that pop up in the Next Generation or that are recurring in the Next Generation. They could do Admiral Nechayev, that kind of stuff. Cerritos. Barkley. That's it. What's his name? Dwight Schultz. They might do Barkley. I think Barkley and Mr. Mott. If Mr. Mott gets a Lower Decks appearance, then Mr. Mott has not only got his Lower Decks appearance, but he was also Easter egged, hinted at in Picard. So Mr. Mott's become quite the famous man. You know what? That would be funny. That would be funny if they have an episode where Mr. Mott is like you have an episode where Mr. Mott has left the Enterprise. Or he's no longer, he was on the Enterprise D, but he was not on the Enterprise E, right? It'd be funny if Mr. Mott, we come to a planet, or we come to Freecloud in its beginning, because this is 19 to 20 years before Picard. Freecloud isn't as controversial as it is in Picard, and you see Mr. Mott setting up his little barber shop and all. That would be pretty fun. That would be pretty fun. The Doctor. I would like to see Pulaski. I know that the cat in the animated in Lower Decks looks like a Cation version of Pulaski, but I would like them to bring Dr. Pulaski back. I am one of the rare people that enjoys Dr. Pulaski more than Dr. Crusher, and so I would like to see Pulaski in the show. And you know what would be interesting? What would be interesting is to see what's his name, Arik Sung, the new Sung that they introduced in Picard, the kid, the Noonien Sung's son in Picard. All right, this guy has been around in the galaxy for years, and he hasn't been hidden. We just never heard of him in the next generation. But I think Alton Sung, if they show him in Lower Decks, it could help kind of build him into the universe. And kind of show him that he exists. Maybe they could even give us some Bruce Maddox stuff. But then maybe I don't think Lower Decks were too aware of what was going on the Picard writers' room, so maybe they can't cross over that much. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna leave it there. I was intending on doing like a 10-minute stream, mumble to myself. What's going on? Oh, there you go. See, wife on the tube. I think wife on the tube is watching me. Maybe. Hello, wife on the tube. John is watching Dora. This was a test. I was supposed to do 10 minutes and then just mumble and ramble about, and I thought Gary would maybe join. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Lower Decks, I'm really hyped. That's about it. I hope it's coming out. I will be doing a news story, like a news / explanation video about Lower Decks, going over some of this information, maybe more, soon. And then, as I said, Star Trek Races next time. And that's it. She has a play kitchen. She's playing with a play kitchen. I'm going to be off. All right. Thank you. And live long and prosper. And maybe more of these live streams will come in time. See you guys.